Hi guys, my name is Zachary Park. I am currently a third year medical student. The specialties that I am currently considering are PM&R and emergency medicine. My main form of exercise is weightlifting, as you can tell. But I also enjoy other sports.
So how long have you been training for? When did you start, weightlifting?
So I started getting into weightlifting around senior year of high school. So my dad, he kind of got me into it because I was originally really into Taekwondo. So I did Taekwondo for about 13 years, went to a lot of competitions and stuff, and just that sport itself kept me fairly fit. I guess more fit than the average high schooler or middle schooler. But eventually my dad was like, hey, I'm gonna have this really ghetto setup up in the attic of just weightlifting stuff. And so he said, hey, son, do you wanna join me for a few workouts? And I got into it, and I thought it was nice just to do a different form of exercise other than Taekwondo. But I also thought it was nice spending time with my dad and just building that father-son relationship as well. And just the fact that he was finding things to do with me really meant a lot. So that's kind of how I got started. And I really got into weightlifting when I went to college, because that was the first time I left the nest and was alone for the first time. And yeah, with the school gym, I was just mesmerized. I saw all these gigantic seniors in college who, when you're straight from high school, you're 18, 17, you're pretty young. And then on the other side of the spectrum, the seniors in college, they're all like 22, 23, so they're massive. That age difference is so drastic at that time period.
But was that motivation for you?
Oh, it was so much motivation. That's the thing. I have a new setup at my parents' house. So my dad works out at the basement now. We upgraded, so it's in the basement.
Nice.
Yeah, and he works out almost every single day. And when I go home, sometimes I work out with him or I work out independently in the basement. But it's just a different vibe. For me, I need to have other people surrounding me lifting, whether it's together or independently. I just need to be surrounded by other people. And that serves as kind of like my motivation to lift heavier, lift stronger, and it just keeps me accountable.
Yeah. No, dude, that's awesome. Actually, I didn't know that about your dad. I mean, I knew you'd been lifting for a while, but it seems like your dad was a huge source of motivation for you.
Oh yeah, because he was fairly fit. I mean, age eventually catches up to you, so he's a little bit thinner now, but he still goes to the gym and lifts consistently. Not as much as me, right? But he still goes, and he's benching a plate, which is really good for him at his age.
Nice.
Just trying to stay active. But yeah, my dad played a huge role in me getting into weightlifting and exercising, because he was always into sports too. And sure, he wasn't a professional, but he was a jack of all trades, where he would want me to get into baseball, or want me to get into hockey or ice skating, or even football and tennis. So we always had all the equipment laying around all around the house.
Nice.
So I was
a pretty active household.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Exactly. So I was fortunate enough to dabble in all the sports. Sure, I wasn't good at it, but I played enough or had enough experience with it where I could kind of figure out what I was doing.
Nice. Okay, so then you seriously got into weightlifting during college.
Yeah.
Do you think that's where you learned how to balance schoolwork and going to the gym?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because now you're taking a bigger course load, right, compared to high school, where the grades don't matter as much. They don't carry as much weight. And in college, it actually matters because for me, my goal was always medical school, so I couldn't fool around as much. So studies were always very, very important for me. And kind of learning how to manage weightlifting in sports and staying active, as well as maintaining a high GPA and doing all those extracurriculars to try to build that resume and application, it was definitely a learning process. And it took me a while to kind of smooth out the edges and see, what the correct balance was.
Mm-hmm.
But once I did, it's smooth sailing from there.
Nice.
So it's all about experimentation.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And whatever works for you.
When you transitioned to medical school, so you kind of had your routine in college, like with your coursework and lifting and stuff. So like, did you have to adapt at all with medical school, like when you transitioned? Because for me, medical school was not necessarily as hard as university in terms of how complex the courses were, but it was just like, it's a crazy amount of information, crazy amounts of studying that are incomparable to undergrad. So how did you have to adapt to that and while continuing to lift and stuff like that?
Yeah, great question. So let me tell you, medical school is hard. If you're considering medical school right now, maybe it's time to reevaluate because it's a lot of time. You're going to spend a lot of time studying. It is a very lengthy time commitment. So if you're not up for the challenge, it's definitely worth reconsidering. Maybe go into finance or computer science or something like that. But to answer your question, I definitely had to cut down the hours that I spent in the gym just because it wasn't feasible for me. And for me, coming to medical school, I'm not here to work out, right? Mm-hmm. I'm here to get a medical education to become a good physician. But I also couldn't sacrifice what I consider a part of my identity, right? Because I consider myself to be a fit athlete. I enjoy working out. It's one of my hobbies, maybe my top 3. So I didn't want to completely give it up. So it's all about finding that balance again. Because now, compared to undergrad, your course load and your time spent studying is so much more, right? So you have to keep that in mind, but also do things that you enjoy too. You gotta do things to maintain your identity, or else you just become completely enveloped with medical school, and that's all you become and that's all you know. But you have to have some sort of identity that you keep going with you throughout medical school. And for me, that was weightlifting, or at least one of them. I also love eating food and posting pictures.
Yes.
But yeah, I had to cut down the hours a lot. So I used to go in college almost every single day. I went like 5 or 6 times a week, but coming to medical school, I had to cut that down by half. So I would go 3-4 times a week. 4 times a week if I had the time. I would try to go twice on the weekends, like Friday or Saturday, and twice during the week whenever I had time, just for like an hour, hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. So that's 4 times a week now?
Yeah, 4 times a week now. But that definitely changes because sometimes we have final exams coming up, sometimes we have block exams, sometimes, for STEP we have dedicated, and, during those times you have to focus more of your attention on medical school or things related to medical school than lifting. Because lifting will always be there, right? You just gotta get back into it.
Yeah.
But, you gotta start prioritizing things that matter more at that time.
Mm-hmm. So how do you feel, like when you exercise and lift, how do you feel that affects your studying? Like, do you think it improves it, or do you ever feel like if you go really ham in the gym, like huge lifts, like are you too tired to study afterwards?
Yeah.
Or do you feel like it overall actually helps you, like in all matters of life, like studying, sleeping? Right. How do you feel that? Because you exercise pretty regularly, at least 4 times a week. So how would you say that affects your medical school life?
Well, at most 4 times a week.
Yeah. Okay.
Not at least, I wish. Yeah, that's another good question. So for me, I found that I need to break up my hours spent studying throughout the day with working out. It just helps me clear my mind, and it's just a complete change of scenery. And you're there pumping iron, you're getting that pump, you're getting that energy that, you know, you're lacking when you're just sitting stationary at a desk looking at a computer screen for like 8 hours per day at least. So for me, I find that going to medical school, taking all the classes, studying, and then going to the gym before dinner, so I can also not only get a solid workout but build up my appetite so I can eat a very hearty meal, and then continuing on with my studies afterwards. And then by the time I go to bed, I'm already very, very tired, not only from the mental exhaustion from studying, but also physical exhaustion from working out. So I find that working out towards the afternoon, late afternoon, early evening is the perfect time for me. Because I tried working out in the morning, but I'm not able to enjoy the gym as much because I normally do IF, which is intermittent fasting. So
me too.
Yeah, so that's pretty much.
I was gonna get into like some questions about your diet, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll give a short blurb about my diet. So, I do IF where I don't eat for 16 hours and I eat for 8 hours.
Nice.
So I do the 16-8, and in order for me to do that, I have to skip breakfast. But yeah, so when I tried working out in the morning, I just had no energy. I couldn't get my major lifts in. My bench press numbers would go down. I didn't have any energy to squat or deadlift heavy. So I just found that, sure, like I'm having a fasted workout, but the quality of my workout just deteriorated. And because for me, when I go to the gym, I enjoy lifting heavy for my first part of my workout, and for my second part of my workout, I focus more on hypertrophy and volume lifting. But I found that type of lifting in the morning really wore me out as the day progressed. So by the time, 1 o'clock, 2 p.m. came around, I was just completely exhausted and had such a hard time focusing on my studies. And I also experimented with what the best time of day to work out was in medical school, and what type of workouts I should do, what my diet should be like. And I found that working out right before dinner is the best time for me.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same with that time. Because I mean, there's been some science released about cardio towards right before you break your fast, and how that can potentially be the best way to like burn fat. But yeah, for lifts, or like for me, I do calisthenics, it's so tough, like on an empty stomach after a 16-hour fast, but before like your first meal. Yeah, I'm the same way. I had to start, because I tried doing that too, because I felt like, okay, if I can work out first thing of the day, then I don't have to worry about it for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But then I switched to the same thing as you, working on the afternoon, because one, it was like a break in my studies, which it would be a continuous onslaught of studying if you work out in the morning.
Yeah.
And you're kind of tired the whole day from your workout in the morning. Yeah, so I like that. That's pretty much the same exact schedule I have too.
Yeah.
So my next question is, like, I'm interested in some of the details, like in your actual workout split. So, and you mentioned a little bit, like you do a little bit of heavy lifting first, and then the latter half of your workout is like hypertrophy and stuff like that. But if you could go into detail about what your workouts actually look like do you do full body? Do you split between body parts? Like, and how many reps and sets you're doing? Like, all that detail.
Okay, all the juicy stuff.
Yes.
For sure. But let me just get this straight. If you're trying to get big or fit, it honestly doesn't matter what type of program you follow. Consistency is what matters the most. Just going to the gym over and over and over again, not letting yourself give up. That's what matters the most. Programs honestly don't matter, as long as you're able to go to the gym for like an hour each day, 4 or 5 times a week, and you're putting in the work, you're gonna see results no matter what you do. So, but anyways, so right now, I've kind of experimented throughout college to now. So in college, I started out with strong lifts 5x5. We basically do 5 sets and 5 reps of like bench, deadlift, and overhead press, or something like the major lifts, and you do all of those in a single workout, and then you do accessories, which is insane now that I think about it, because it's just impractical right now.
But like a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, especially if you go heavy. But yeah, that was a great way to kind of get me started into lifting heavy and all the major lifts like bench press, squat, deadlift, and overhead press. But now, what I do is I start the beginning of my lift. Basically, I separate my workouts into upper and lower days. And for my upper days, my main lifts that I start out the workout with are either overhead press or bench press. Mm-hmm. And then normally I do 5x5s with either 2 minutes and 30 seconds of rest or 3 minutes of rest, depending on how I'm feeling that day. But I record all that just so I know I can standardize everything in the future. And then sometimes I do 5 sets at 8. So normally I do 5x5 one week and then 5x8 the other week, and I keep alternating like that, mm-hmm. just to keep my body, high volume, high weights. And then afterwards, I would focus on volume training. So I would try to hit each upper body part twice. So because I started off, so for example, for bench days, because I already did chest, I'm going to do another chest and superset that with a back movement. So for example, I would do incline bench and then superset that with lat pull downs.
Nice.
And then next I would superset that. And then for my next superset, I would do things like cable rows, and then I would do shoulder press and do that. And then I would do another shoulder, and then I would finish up with arms. So I would always do bicep and tricep to finish off, and then some abs for my upper days. And then for my lower days, it's pretty much similar concept, where I start off with deadlifts or squats, and I do either 5x5s or 5x8s. And obviously when I do 5x8s, I have to go lower in weight compared to my 5x5s, just because they're doing more reps mm-hmm. per set. And for those, I tend to rest about 3 minutes in between my sets rather than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I get into my hypertrophy volume training. So for all my accessory workouts, I do 3 sets of 15 or so reps. I try 12 to 15 just to get that volume up. And for legs, I do leg curls, leg extensions, abductors, adductors, calf extensions, and I also like to finish with abs too. Mm-hmm. And then there's sometimes when I see other friends in the gym, and then we all do cardio together, so we play basketball. It's a good way to finish the workout.
Nice.
But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I remember went to one of your leg days once.
Yeah, it's brutal. It is brutal.
I felt it like, that's the one limitation with calisthenics. Like, that's why even today, I worked on the morning today because I was like thinking about whether I should work out with you, but it would be hard to film and do it.
Yeah.
So it was one of my days where I did work out in the morning, but today was my leg day too. So I've actually incorporated like literally some of the same things we did at the gym, like the sled pull.
Oh, the sled pull is fantastic for your quads.
The sled pull, and then just like regular barbell squats and stuff. So mm-hmm. Trying to improve that for my legs for sure. Some of the tips that you shared. What are your PRs for your major lifts, like chest, deadlift, squat?
Right now or before?
I guess yes.
You
can say right now, and then what your peak numbers were at any point in time.
All right. So back during my senior year of college, I weighed 220. Right now, I'm about 183, 182. So I dropped a lot of pounds.
40, holy crap.
Yeah, so I shed all that. So during my first year of medical school, I weighed about 210. And then the summer after my first year, I decided I wanted to cut and I wanted to get a 6-pack. Yeah. So I dieted hardcore. I didn't change anything about my workout. It was just straight diet.
Just diet.
Yeah, abs are made in the kitchen, believe that.
It's true.
Yeah, it's very true. So I shed all that weight, I got abs, and I felt like I looked good. But yeah, to answer your question, in college, I was able to do 5 sets of 315 for bench.
315.
Yeah,
wow.
so that's 3 plates, and I would do 5 sets of 3 with a 3-minute break in between. So
whoa. Okay, so 15 total reps.
15 total reps
with
3 plates for bench.
Dang, 3 plates. Yeah, most I've ever done was 2 plates. I've never tested my max because I did 5 reps, 2 plates, but I'm like, I just did that just to test myself because I only trained like calisthenics. But No, 3 plates. I don't think I could lift off the bar.
It's pretty heavy. Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
That's super heavy.
Yeah. I mean, but like if you want to figure out your 1 rep max, there's a lot of calculators online that can kind of give you an estimate.
Oh, like going from 5 reps of 225, what would have 1 rep max? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So other lifts like deadlift.
So deadlift, the most I ever got was 455 pounds, and I did that twice. But I did that during my senior year of college too. And I've been wanting to increase my deadlift numbers, like the weight that I pull for my deadlifts, but you just can't fit that many bumper plates on the bars that we have at the Y.
Damn, you're so big that you can't fit enough plates.
Well, I mean, I can do more volume, right?
Yeah.
Because the most that you can fit at this Y is 405.
Wow, so there's not the bar. I thought the bars were all standard.
They are standard, but the bumper plates that we use are just so thick. They're really, really thick.
Oh,
because we don't use the hexagonal plates. We use the actual round bumper plates. Yeah. And they're like twice as thick, so you can't fit as much. Yeah. But but right now, I'm able to do 10 sets of 3, 405.
Okay, I mean that's not far off at all from your peak.
Yeah.
But I guess
it's different.
Any extra weight is a lot for the deadlift. And then squat.
Squats. I feel like squat was my weakest. I don't think I've ever tried hitting 4 plates, but the most I ever got was about 365.
Dang.
And I did that 5x3.
So wait, is that 1,000? Because I know that's like a coveted number.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Wait,
the one at max.
Yeah, no, that's pretty close to 1,000. Actually, no, that's definitely over 1,000.
Because those are all reps, but like for 1 rep, I feel like.
Yeah, your 1 rep max is over 1,000. Because you said like 365, 455, and then
315.
350. Yeah, that's like 1,000.
At my peak. Yeah. I don't know about now.
But still, nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so for my overhead press, I think I did like 175, 5 sets of 3 at my peak. But now I do like, I think the most recent time I did overhead press, I did like 5 sets of 8, like 135, 140.
What is your main goals fitness-wise going forward as you continue on to 3rd year, you're starting clinical rotations and then eventually residency and then becoming a physician? Like where do you see yourself fitness-wise going forward?
Right. Good question. So I always want to be active in whatever role I'm in, whether I'm an attending, a resident, or even a 4th year medical student, 3rd year medical student. I always want to maintain my current physique as best as I can. I know it's not gonna be practical, but as best as I can. And I always want to spend as much time in the gym as possible within my own limit, right? So that's something I don't want to give up. I want to continue lifting. I want to continue staying fit. It's not only good to, it's not only good to break up your day, but it's also really good to help you clear your mind, and it's also good for you in the long run as well. Just keeping all that muscle around with you as you get older.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I will probably have to cut down on the amount of time that I spend in the gym, but hopefully I won't have to cut it down too much. So I'm gonna continue to try to keep going at least 3 times a week.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a pretty good goal. And definitely, I mean, as you know, I've done 3 rotations. Like 3 times a week is totally feasible. Just like remain active. It's hard if you have like a huge fitness goal, like you're training for a bodybuilding competition, you're training for a marathon, and to get that volume in during rotations is pretty hard. Oh yeah, I bet. I do feel like your schedule is more flexible as a physician, like as an attending. I mean, you could work part-time, or you could schedule shifts, like if you're an EM or whatever. So, but yeah, definitely during training, like 3rd year, 4th year is a little bit easier, but 3rd year and then residency, like, it'll be tough. But so that kind of leads me to my last question, which is like for students who are struggling, maybe they're not there fitness-wise, they know like, they need to go to the gym to be more active, to be more healthy, but they're just struggling so much with balancing their schoolwork with that. Like what is like your main piece of advice for them? Like whether it's something that you incorporate in your own life or just like general advice you would give to those students?
Okay, first of all, if you're struggling with school and you're also trying to find time to work out, you should focus on school. You're here to study medicine. That should be your primary goal, right? You don't want to ever sacrifice that for anything else. But I mean, it depends. Like if you're pass fail, do you always want to strive for 100%, or are you comfortable with getting like an 80%? Because sure, like you're both passing, but one's gonna require a lot more time than the other. So it depends on what your academic goals are and what you're trying to achieve, and then based on that, how much time you're gonna have after. So it depends. It honestly depends. But for me, I'm okay with not getting 100% on every single exam, and I'm not failing either. Don't worry, I've never failed.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I enjoy pursuing other aspects of my life in addition to medicine, because I feel like, sure, like I do want to become a physician, but I also don't want that to encompass my entire life. I want to continue using that and the revenue and the means that I get from that job to pursue my other hobbies and other interests and passions in life, like working out, food, traveling, music, things like that.
Nice.
But yeah, bottom line, focus on school. If you have free time, work out. And if you don't know what you're doing in the gym, there's a lot of free programs for beginners online. As long as you go to the gym and you do anything, you'll get stronger and bigger and fitter. But consistency is key. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like consistency is the biggest thing. Like consistency in your diet, consistency in working out, consistency in Anki.
Oh yeah, that's right. Space bar.
Every day.
That's right.
All right, so how I'm gonna have people end this is the way I usually end my videos. I don't know if you've seen it, but I usually say "Date Bayo," and then you like punch the lens.
All right, Date Bayo.